Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope that all of you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. So if you're anything like me, you grew up watching Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel. There were several channels that we could choose from watching TV as kids, especially like Saturday morning cartoons. And we, loved the programming that made adult stars that we love today, right? Ariana Grande, Zendaya, Raven Simone, so many. Well, unfortunately, this documentary focuses on the dark side of kids' TV. That's exactly what it's titled, Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids' TV. And for those with fond memories of watching those kids-centered programs, such as All That or The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, the Investigation Discovery series, the information comes as a jarring shock. I know for me, my mouth was open seriously, like watching all the different episodes. I stayed up way too late last night watching. My heart breaks for Drake Bell, his parents, especially his father. His father was so heartbroken over what happened. But let me go ahead and just recap the four-part docuseries. It's been generating headlines all day. My social media feed has been buzzing about it all day long. So the star Drake Bell has come forward recounting publicly for the first time his stories of being abused about 2 decades ago by Brian Peck, who was a dialogue coach and an actor employed by Nickelodeon. Peck pleaded no contest to two charges and was sentenced to 16 months in jail back in 2004, but the identity of the performer that he was convicted of abusing was not revealed in court. But the program also spends lots of time digging into the work of the show creator, showrunner, executive producer, and performer Dan Schnider, who built a kids' TV empire in the late 1990s and early 2000s at Nickelodeon. So Snyder, who helped create, write, and produce shows like All That, The Amanda Show, Kenan and Kel, and iCarly, is credited with discovering young stars like Amanda Bynes while defining the shape of the kid-oriented television at that time. Nickelodeon and Snyder's success was rooted in creating shows which seemed like they were built and they were made just for kids, starring kids, and they were presented at a time where young people had a lot fewer entertainment options than they do today. It was the golden age of kids' TV, and it featured young performers who would go on to become stars like Kenan Thompson, who was, of course, killing it on SNL. He's the longest tenured cast member in the show's history. Ariana Grande, Nick Cannon, Victoria Justice, Miranda Cosgrove, and Jamie Lynn Spears. Quiet on Set asserts the behind the scenes reality could be harrowing, presenting interviews with former staffers from the shows, plus their parents, performers, and journalists to detail assertions that Snyder became a more toxic boss as his influence grew. The docuseries presents allegations that he devalued female staff writers, played favorites among the young actors while excluding performers of color, disrupted sets with bursts of anger, and insisted that female staffers give him back massages during production. Snyder doesn't offer anything on camera, but he appears in old footage and photos. The show also features text statements in which he denies some allegations, insisting that what he did on the shows was scrutinized by dozens of adults, including programming executives, and that he never considered gender in hiring decisions. The program also shows a statement from Nickelodeon at the end of every episode, which states that it investigates all formal complaints as a part of our commitment to fostering a safe and professional workplace. It goes on to say, we have adopted numerous safeguards over the years to help ensure that we are living up to our own high standard and the expectations of our audiences, end quote. Among the most jarring sequences in the Quiet on Set documentary were the scenes where the young actors from Snyder's shows, they were doing things that seemed silly on the surface, but they also evoked troubling innuendos. in programming aimed at children, including a young Ariana Grande squeezing a potato suggestively to try to produce juice from it, or a moment where a blob of goo squirts onto the face of Jamie Lee Lynn Spears. The documentary also recounts how some staffers who worked at Nickelodeon were later convicted of crimes against children, minors, including one man who met child actors as a production assistant, and Brian Peck, who played characters and worked with kid performers on Snyder-led shows. The bad just doesn't go away, says the mother of one child performer targeted by a man who was later arrested on charges involving a different young star. The bad stays for a lifetime. But the most emotional moments of the show came as Drake Bell related his personal story. He says that Brian Peck convinced him to drop his father as his manager and then involved himself deeply in the young performer's life. Eventually, Bell said, Peck began to abuse him in an intimate fashion, creating a situation where the young performer felt he couldn't escape from him. The abuse was extensive and it got pretty brutal, he said. He tells the camera shifting in his seat. I really don't know how to elaborate on that on camera. Why don't you think about the worst stuff that somebody could do to somebody as an SA? And that'll answer your question. I don't know how else to put it. Bell, who is now 37 years old, also speaks about problems with self-destructive behavior as he grew older. He pled guilty in 2021 to a felony charge of attempting to endanger children and a misdemeanor charge of disseminating material harmful to juveniles connected to an incident in Ohio involving a teenage girl. Fans who grew up with these shows and stars enjoyed their kids running around the asylum vibe may be particularly troubled to hear that the performers were exposed to all kinds of predators and toxic work environments. It's tough to imagine what these stars' bright smiles and sunny attitudes on screen may have been hiding, though some have spoken out in the past, including former iCarly co-star Jeanette McCurdy, who wrote the searing memoir, quote, "I'm glad my mom died," end quote. That went on to become a New York bestseller. That title always it was like really jarring, but listen, Jeanette stood on business, okay? She said what she said, and she meant what she said. In many ways, a docuseries like this is a natural progression from the revelations of a toxic behind-the-scenes behavior in an adult-focused TV shows. Films in the music industry kicked off by the Me Too movement. Similarly, there had been previous reporting of allegations against Schnider and the issues at Nickelodeon, but the power of quiet on set lies in getting people to sit before a camera and speak on the record about their allegations in compelling ways. One important question left is whether programs like Quiet on Set can change popular attitudes on how child actors are treated in the same way that others have changed ideas about SA, harassment, and codes of conduct in the workplaces which fuel Hollywood's dream factory. So that was a great article, right, by NPR. I wanted to read that to just kind of give you guys a brief overview of what it was about. But basically, just hearing, Drake and the rest of the stars talk about their experiences were really sad because, John Wayne Gacy has been trending on social media all day. And when I found out why and how it was connected to, this documentary, basically one of the child stars, him and, all his parents, Brian Peck would have parties frequently over his house. And he actually showed the child stars and their parents, by the way, letters from John Wayne Gacy. And there was like signed memorabilia and, some other collectible items. But I was like, oh my goodness, this man has been, locked up for heinous crimes, right? Unaliving several children. And so my thing is, people didn't see that as a red flag. Like nobody thought that Brian Peck having letters and with a pen pal essentially to John Wayne Gacy, that wouldn't raise any kind of, red flags for people. I don't know. If it were me, I mean, I know hindsight is 2020, but me and my child, we would have had to get out of there because that that is ridiculous. That is the United Nations of Red Tat Flags, Risa Tisa. Okay, you guys, I don't know. Just again, hearing what Drake said about his experience, it was heartbreaking. I'm so glad that he seems to be in a better place now. His dad, was really heartbroken. He said that he tried his best to try to protect his son from this essential predator. Um, it was really upsetting to hear that a lot of people from the cast of Boy Meets World and a lot of other people in Hollywood were literally in court sitting behind Brian Peck, supporting him. And then on the other side, Drake said it was just him, his mom, and his brother. And they wrote like over 40 letters to the judge in support of this man who really harmed Drake horribly. But I'm glad that, like I said, he spoke his truth. I'm glad that this is coming out. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Quiet on Set? Did you guys watch it? If so, let me know. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.